Hello, dear students. Welcome to the Bajirao IS Academy. Before starting our editorial discussion, let's play a game of interaction. And we, on the daily basis, try to put some of the important case study like situation, okay, which is a little bit practical, so that you can think and you can generate ideas and you can also provide solution and suggestions, and this will help you in GS paper 4 along with debate and discussion interview, because in interview as well practical questions are asked. Okay, so this will help you to cater the needs in a multidimensional approach. So let's start with the interactive game. Suppose you have been posted as a superintendent of police in your district. Okay, and after the post, you are observing some of the important concerns related to the road accident. Like in your district, there is a high number of death due to the road accident, and you can take the data like 2 death per day. So that's a very high number. That means in 24 hours we have 2 death. Okay, and not only this, what your district is facing like absence of emergency treatment. That means even if a person is needed care, that person may not get the care because of lack of hospitals or the emergency needs. Okay, and there are another effect like prevalence of bystander. You know what do you mean by bystander? Bystander refers to the people who, despite seeing that there is a victim or there is a case of accident, but people don't move, people don't act or react. Okay, they just like do their work or the stuff just like the way they are doing. Okay, so they do not come forward to help. So this is called bystander. So these are the issue which is being faced in your district and you observe this issue. Okay, so as a superintendent of police, how you will be handling these concern, and along with that, can you identify the reasons why these road accident in your district is one of the highest in number? And we can give you some of the points and you can explore that. Maybe the transport or the vehicles is very high in number. Okay, there can be the chances that people are not wearing the seat belts while driving the car, and along with there can be many regions like road infrastructure. Okay, so these are the important points, but I request you to please generate the point by yourself, because this will give you confidence, and not only confidence, it will boost your thinking power. And one of the my good aim that you should develop the thinking power. As I always say that I don't believe in passive learning. Active learning is very important, and in active learning the participation of yours becomes very crucial. So do participate and try to provide some of the ideas that how you can handle as an IPS officer of your district. Okay, and along with that, can you identify different stakeholders involved in this issue? And when we talk about a stakeholder, these are the people who will be associated. For example, the victim, okay, the family of the victim, okay, the people who will be aiding or supporting the victim, all of that you can incorporate. But these are some of the ideas, and you should name some of the stakeholder, because in solving case study the stakeholders identification plays a very crucial role. Okay, so try to solve this case study, and as a practical approach give practical ideas. The idea should not be restricted to the bookish language. Okay, try to explore out of the box solution, how you will be handling the road accidents in your district. Okay, because this will be the challenges you need to tackle in the coming time when you will be posted as an officer. So that's why be prepared, and this will be like a game, so definitely it will be enjoying in nature. Try to solve, try to interact. Okay, and the ideas will be shared by the people when you will share it on the chat box on the YouTube comment section. So hope you will definitely participate. Okay, and now we are moving forward for the discussion, and today we have the three articles in discussion. Okay, and the date is 21st of November, and the three articles. So the first article is related to the long working hour. As you know, the context that the Infosys founder Narayan Murthy, they once talked in an interview that for India's development, growth, progress, prosperity, long working hours needed. So we have discussed lots of articles, but here some of the important ideas has been coming from this article, that why long working hours is not needed in India, because first of all we have to raise the demand. Okay, demand of the goods and services. Otherwise, the prevailing rate of unemployment suggests that it is not the long working hours needed, but it is the demand that should be boosted so that person's income will be increased. And if the income gets increased, that means people will expend more and it will indirectly boost the economy. Then the generation of employment will be happening. That is the scenario, not the long working hour. Okay, so that's the point we will be highlighting in a detailed way. And the second article is related to the emerging technology to be included in the military services of India. Although we are progressing towards incorporation of military and the artificial intelligence and emerging technology, so we will be trying to elaborate that what the government did and what are the challenges associated with and what we have to do further. Okay, and the third article is related to how free cancer care alone won't help to fight against cancer in India. Although we have the government fundings, okay, we have the free cancer care, but there is a restrictions in it. Like even government spending in the cancer treatment is very less, number one, and along with the hospital care is not available everywhere. Okay, like in rural India there is the absence of cancer care facility. In urban area there is overload of the patients. Okay, and along with that there are extra costs that ruins the life of the patient, not only the patient but caregivers as well. So we will be elaborating in detail. Okay, so let's start with the discussion, and if you are enjoying our lecture series, please do like, share, support, subscribe our channel. Okay, so let's move. And today is 21st of November, and before that we have the prelims PYQ session. So try to solve the question and solve it carefully, because this is related to the polity section, and if you read the question carefully, definitely you can solve it in a correct way. Okay, so the question is, consider the following statements. Statement 1, the Parliament Prevention of Disqualification Act 1959 exempts several posts from disqualification on the ground of office of profit. And statement 2, the above mentioned act was amended 5 times. And statement 3, the term office of profit is well defined in the Constitution of India. So here maybe some of the statement you will be unaware, but UPSC has also given a clue that by understanding that clue you can directly come to the answer. So sometimes UPSC do give the clue, so try to utilize this clue. Okay, that's why analysis of PYQ paper, not only the paper but the options but the keyword the UPSC puts in their question is very very important to understand. Okay, and that's why I always recommend you to solve the PYQ question. It will be very very important. Okay, try to use the elimination method, then definitely you can come to the answer. Okay, and we will be discussing the solution in the last session of our discussion. Okay, so let's start our discussion, and the first article is related to GS paper 2. Okay, So basically, when we talk about the context, you know that the Infosys founder Narayan Murthy, they propose that Indian works longer hours to achieve a larger national output. That means if people in India will work more, that means they will contribute more in the economic growth progress. But does it is good? So many articles we have already discussed that that these articles do not favor long working hours in India because there can be the loss of productivity, okay, and there can be the emotional and mental challenges and many more things. But in this article, the perspective is different. The perspective is different in the sense that despite we have the Narayana Murthy recommendations, but the proposal fails to consider the crucial role of demand. And demand means what? The demand of goods and services. So that means if there is higher demand of goods and services, then definitely the employment will increase, okay, and unemployment will be decreasing, okay. But if in India the demand of goods and services is less, that means even the company, let's say, employ higher number of workers or the co-workers, okay, so this will lead to increase in inventory, okay, stocks, so that will lead to the loss to the company. And you know that company always aims to profit maximization theory. So that means the concept of long working hour is not in favor, specifically in terms of India, because in India we have the less demands of goods and services, and to boost the demand, it is very necessary that we have to do certain reforms, okay. So that's the point. And employment will rise once the demand for these products will rise. So how will be increasing the demand? So the focus should be on it, okay. And when we talk about the role of demand, we have already talked to you that the demand for labor is entirely dependent upon the demand of goods and services, okay. So that's the point. And firms or the company will only employ more labor if there is increased demand for their product. If the product demand is not that much good, why the company will either require long working hour or extra people to hire? So that's the simple question this article raises. And now we focus on the context that was given by the Infosys founder, that this type of scenario was adapted in Germany and Japan after the World War II. So basically, there is a logic behind that, and you cannot compare that situation with the situation of India. Why? Because during that time, Germany, Japan, all were involved in World War II, and there was huge damage to their economy, to the infrastructure, to the connectivity. So that means to rebuild the Germany or the Japan, okay, there was a necessity that the higher working hours was required, okay. So that's the point, and you cannot compare with India with the present scenario, because that time the rebuilding of infrastructure was necessary to start the production again, okay. And you know that in World War II there was huge destruction of the people, the cities, the production, all of that. And to restart that, there was necessary to maintain, first of all, the basic infrastructure needs, then the production will be going on. So that's why in that region there was very necessity of long working hours. But that is not true in case of India in the present scenario, because we are not in the world war scenario, okay. So that's the point. And there was another case which was given, like the case of South Korea. So in South Korea there was also the tendency of long working hour during their rise, but there is also counterpoints here, like South Korean people was too much influenced by nationalism along with the Korean War. Okay, so that's why because of these two influence they worked more time. Okay, And along with that, they first of all prioritize the agricultural section, okay, and the progress in agricultural section lead to the progress in the manufacturing and the other section, okay, because one sector and their growth contributes to the other sector, okay, and for that primary sector plays a very important, because you can compare any of the country who is developed or developing, their primary focus is what? First of all agriculture, okay, then they shift either in the manufacturing or the services. So that's the point. And we have already talked that when the devastation was occurred due to the World War II, so financial support was also given by the West, like US. Okay, US provided or assisted Germany under the Marshall Plan, along with World Bank was created. Okay, during that time, so that also funded these redevelopment projects. So that boosted their economy, that boosted their productivity. The money is very very important, okay, and which was provided by the institutions or the US, okay. But when we talk about how India can achieve such progress, okay, so first of all in this article, as we already told, that here the long working hours is not needed. What is needed, that you have to boost the demand for the goods and services. We have the population 140 plus crore population, but when we talk about demand for goods and services, it is very lacking. Why lacking? Because poverty, okay, real income is not rising. So what we needed to do, we needed to increase their real income, okay. And for the real income, what we need to do, we need to reduce the inflation. And why? Because if inflation is reduced, that means people will expend less in food and other essential goods, okay, for their livelihood, and remaining money will be used to fund the other needs or the other products. So that will enhance the demand. So one of the important suggestion is that. And the another suggestion is like our product in India have lack of accessibility at the global level. And why there is a accessibility lacking? Because of competitiveness not present in our product, okay, as compared to the Chinese product, as compared to the Western nations product, okay, our product becomes very fragile. So we need to enhance the competitiveness. We need to influence our product to the global level, like the global products which we utilize. Similarly, our products should be utilized by the global world, and for that, the promotion and competencies in the product is very very important. Okay, and we know that expanding the domestic market by increasing the real income of the household is also very very important, okay. Like for example, increasing the farmers income also becomes very important, because farmers income is very less, and if farmers income is very less, the major part of their income will be getting expenditure in fulfilling the essential needs, okay. So how they can expend extra? So that raises the question mark, okay. So in conclusion, we can say that the idea of long working hour is not good as proposed by Narayan Murthy to address the underlying issue. And what is the underlying issue? Low aggregate demand and lack of demand for labor in India. And why there is a lack of demand for labor? Because even the demand for products in India or in the global world is not up to the mark. So we have to reform that, okay. And we need to increase the productivity, infrastructure capability, domestic demand. It will lead to sustainable economic growth. So that's the end of the article. Hope you understood. And now we are shifting to the second article discussion, and second article is related to GS paper 3, okay. So in the present era, we know that emerging technology, whom do you call emerging technology? The technology which is emerging in nature, like artificial intelligence, drones, robotics, okay, all these technological innovations that is progressing time to time, you can incorporate in the emerging technology. Now tell me, if there is a huge potential of emerging technology, if it is utilized in the defense sector, can it will enhance our defense security? Yes, it can enhance. So that's why the Indian defense system or the defense ministry try to incorporating these emerging technology into the defense sector. Okay, whether it is the drones, whether it is the use of artificial intelligence, we are trying to utilize it like cyber technology, artificial intelligence, because the present and the modern warfare is becoming too complex with the introduction of information technology, with the introduction of digitization. Okay, and there can be the chances in the future for information warfare. What do you mean by information warfare? Like misleading information, hacking the information, all of that. Okay, and it can happen in just a second, and it can be utilized to counter the satellites, okay, to destruct the satellites and many more things. So there is very like complex uncertainty arising in the defense sector because of these progressing and emerging technologies. So to handle that, we need to incorporate emerging technology in our defense mechanism as well. That's why we are trying to progress. Okay, but in this article there is an important suggestion that despite we are trying to incorporate these emerging technology, but there is a need for organizational and doctrinal change. And why there is a need for organizational and doctrinal change? It is all because when we talk about present military system in India, so there is a lack of collaboration between the three services, whether it is the army, navy, or the air force. That means if there is a threat, so there will not be the presence of collaboration like we see in the western countries, and this is very much like lacking issue that has been highlighted by various committee, by various report. You can understand. Okay, so that's why what we have created one a post like CDS, no, Chief of Defense Staff. So we have created why to incorporate coordination. So that's the point. And even for the emerging technology, the need for organizational and doctrinal changes is needed. Okay, and we have taken such initiatives like army's identification of 45 niche technology, okay, along with air force use of artificial intelligence, cyber, and virtual reality to address its operational, logistical, and training needs. Along with when we talk about navy, so navy's integrated unmanned roadmap, and they are promoting indigenization and the project Swavalamban. Okay, and along with defense ministries showcasing some of the initiatives like defense artificial intelligence council, defense artificial intelligence project agency. So you are seeing that the emerging technology is being integrated, whether it is in the air force, whether it is in the navy or the military, all of that. But what is the problem here? The problem is of the coordination. Okay, and along with that, it doesn't mean that if any technology is being advanced, so we will directly put it into the services. There is a need for proper analysis of that device, okay, their efficiency, their failure, because we can trust technology but not completely. So to make trust more flexible, there is an important that we should have a proper test mechanism system. Okay, and that's the point. Okay, like sharing data with the civilian environment. And here the important point highlighted is the importance of collaborative defense, where the military partners with scientists, academics, technologists, entrepreneurs, and the wider industry should be consulted. And along with what, when we talk about industry, the involvement of private industry in the defense sector is also very important, because they will provide productive and innovative solution to the emerging technology. Okay, and this will increase the capability of our defense mechanism. Okay, so there is a need for greater jointness between the three services. And along with, you should understand one another important point, that there is a need to revisit existing human resource practices to prioritize a specialization. What we prefer now, generalization, but there is a need to prefer the specialization. Like in the emerging technology, there is a need for a specialization. When we talk about a specialization, what does it mean? That a person will be very much specialized, okay, in the field of emerging technology. It doesn't mean that some of the technology will be like understanding by one, some will be other, some will be other. Okay, so that is not a specialization. If one person in the certain field knows if and buts of all that sector, that is a specialization. Like when we call like masters, okay, masters in certain subject, that is a specialization. Okay, so that's the point. And when we prepare for the UPSC, for the GS1, GS2, GS3, all of that, so this is generalization. We are only understanding the general points and the issues, not in detailing. Okay, so that's the point. But when you read optional, that means you are specializing in a particular subject, so you need to understand this point. Okay, and also, there is a role of defense ministry to incorporate technocrats and qualified personnel from the private sector. Okay, and and in conclusion, when we say that the role of defense ministry is very very important to fully realize the potential of these technology, and for that organizational and doctrinal changes is very much required. And we have told you the 3 points regarding these changes. What are the 3 points? Can you tell me in the comment section? Please recall and tell me in the comment section. Okay, and the defense ministry has a key role, as we have already said, because defense ministry is the topmost ministry in the defense sector. So definitely any proposal or the any request, all of that will be handled by this ministry. Okay, so we have discussed the article number 2. Now we are shifting to article number 3. It is related to the cancer. So basically when we talk about cancer, so cancer represents what? The undemanded growth of harmful cells in a part of body, and it can be blood cancer, it can be brain cancer, and there are many types of cancer. Okay, and these are a very serious issue, and these are although not infectious, but these are like damaging the life of a person. It is very much life risky. You may all be aware about this. Okay, but when we talk about the cancer situation in India, that is also not good. And you can see that cancer is the third leading cause of death in India. And by 2040, there is an observation that it will overtake heart disease and infections as well. Okay, so that can become the leading cause from the third leading cause, which is current position. Okay, and when we talk about the financial burden, try to observe that if any person diagnosed with cancer, so their treatment comes into lakhs and crores, and even sometimes many cities or the regions does not have these facility for the cancer treatment, like chemotherapy or the radiation therapy, all of that. Okay, so that means not only expensive, but accessibility also becomes very concerning issue. Okay, and to deal with that, government well know that funding is very much needed. So that's why the government provide financial assistance, like recently launched initiative Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. But these initiatives are suffice not, because we need to address some other issues as well. What are some other issue? Like when we talk about the accessibility of the facility of cancer treatment, so it is not equally available in the rural area. Okay, and in the urban area, even if there is accessibility, so the patients number are very high, and because of that, because of the sheer burden, okay, there is a high waiting time. And in the high waiting time, the blood test, okay, or the MRI test requires months and years, okay, for the report to come. And not only this, what happens indirectly, that because of delay in giving the services by the government sector or the government hospital, people have to shift to the private sector. And you know the influence of the private hospital, they are also the profit maximizer, and they try to earn the maximum profit. And the treatment of cancer is very very costly. Okay, so if a person try to get treatment in the private sector, they can even cost 1.5 lakh rupees for the chemotherapy or the radiation therapy. So that's the cost. And can you imagine the impact of these treatments on the poor section and the vulnerable section? So their lifestyle will be ruined. Okay, their savings, their assets will be ruined. Even many people sell their lands, okay, and the assets for the treatment, but even that, the chances for the success becomes very very low. Okay, and you can see a data like a June 2023 study reported that even among patients availing this PMJ benefit or the other state benefit, cancer treatment caused catastrophic health expense in more than 80%, and impoverishment, that means person coming to the poverty level, in more than 60% of the people. You can imagine the burden of the cancer. Okay, and when we talk about why the expense gets a rise, so first of all, the out of pocket expenditure becomes high. Ideally it should be zero because government is providing the services in the hospitals, okay, along with the financial assistance, so it should be zero. But why it is not zero? Because of the delay in the services given by the government sector, people have to shift to the private sector, and in the private sector, you know, the cost, okay, and along with the cost, we have indirect cost associated. What is indirect cost? For example, a person who is a patient, okay, first of all, the money will be required for the treatment, but indirectly you can see that transportation cost, along with the patient who lost his employment for the treatment, so there will be extra burden because the source of income has been restricted. So these are also indirect costs. And even a person takes up the tempo, okay, or the auto rickshaw, it requires about 300 rupee or 250 rupees to go to the hospital. Okay, so that's the problem, and that increases the expense directly or indirectly. And you can see here that the blood investigation in the government hospital at least takes 10 days, and it was the a statement given by 60-year-old man with oral cancer who is ongoing treatment in Delhi. Okay, and you can see the charges of the private lab, 300 rupee. Okay, and there is also the delay in coming of the reports, and because of that, the treatment which is very very essential in the short span of time does not gets occurred, and people have to shift to the private sector. Okay, and that is the issue going on. Okay, and you can see all of the concern. And let's say if the patient is the breadwinner, what do you mean by breadwinner? The person who has the responsibility of earning. And if that person diagnosed with cancer, so you can observe the burden on the family because the income will be lost. Okay, and how the family will survive? Okay, they have to sell the property, okay, all of that for the treatment. And even in an ongoing study by this author article, 9 out of 10 patients with oral cancer either lost their job or stopped working after being diagnosed with cancer. Okay, and even what, the person who is diagnosed with cancer, they are prone to 7 times greater risk of unemployment within 5 years after diagnosis. Okay, even there is a higher chances that the person who has diagnosed with cancer will lose the employment or the job, or even cannot get the job again. Okay, and this not only impacts the patient but also the caregivers, the families who is providing care services to them, because they also have to come with the patient to meet the doctor or the hospitals. Okay, so there is a chances that their income loss will also do happen. Okay, so that's the point. And another issue is like the rural and urban India issue. Like we have the cancer care concentrated in major cities, not in the rural village. Okay, and government initiatives do have been taken, but that is not suffice. Okay, and one is your Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, and various state governments have provided the schemes. Like in 2012, the Haryana government made transport for patients with cancer and one caregiver in public buses for the places of residence to the places of treatment free, okay, so that the cost should be reduced, okay. And similar initiatives and incentives have been given by other state government like Kerala, and there is a unique examples in Delhi, like in 2017 Delhi government launched Arogya Kosh scheme, so that the burden which is faced by the public health centers or the public hospital, government run hospitals, should be shifted, should be reduced. And what the government did, like some of the important thing like conducting test, okay, ultrasound, CT scans, they were shifted to the private sector, private laboratory, where government was providing subsidy to that hospital or the laboratory, okay, and the people can avail the services there free of cost. But there is a issue of unawareness, okay, people are not aware of this scheme, and you can observe that 93% people were unaware when conducted survey, okay. So what is the permanent solution? So permanent solution is like people should not have to waste their time in visiting from rural India to urban India. So there is a need to establish cancer care centers in every corner of India, but there is a high fund required. And because of that, in the current scenario, because we have very less expenditure on the healthcare sector, okay, so that is not possible currently. So what we can do till that, we need to continue to provide financial support to those who are suffering, and maybe we can increase the financial support, okay. And that's why we can say that free cancer care which government tries to provide is not saving the people from poverty, because here the role of private sector hospitals is also coming into the play, because there is huge burden on the government run hospitals and the treatment facility, okay. So that's why if a person diagnosed with the cancer, maybe there are chances that they can face and they can come into the extreme poverty. So that's the article, and hope you understood. Now we have the time to solve the MCQ, and the solution is like option 1, okay, 1 and 2 only. And how you can eliminate, just read option 3. The term office of profit is well defined in the Constitution of India. Can you imagine that? How can it be possible that we can define fully the office of profit? So it is a dynamic concept, first of all. And the second conclusion you can conclude, like these terms, office of profit, and sometimes basic structure of constitution are well defined or not defined. So these are not defined, okay. So try to remember these type of statement which are not defined. Mainly, mostly you can say that these type of terms are not defined in the constitution. So you can eliminate option 3 easily, and the answer will be 1 and 2. Even you do not know the statement 2, like the above mentioned act was amended 5 times, okay, still you can guess the correct answer. And a statement 1 is general, like the act itself saying that the parliament prevention of disqualification, that means this act is dealing with certain provisions that will prevent the person from disqualification, okay. And that's why they exempt several posts. It is not saying like 5 posts or 10 posts, several posts. That means there is a higher chances these are general statements, so this will be true, okay. So that's the point, and hope you understood. That's the end of the article. And if you are enjoying our series, please do like, share, subscribe. Thank you, friend. Thank you very much for supporting us. Please do like, share, subscribe. Thank you.